What up, motherfuckers? I've been watching Cobra Kai recently, alright? And it made me realize how cool karate is once again, bringing back those memories, you know what I mean? Then I watched some UFC. I watched Colby Covington beat up Tyron Woodley. I'm a big Colby Covington fan, as I'm sure many of you can imagine, because he brings that wrestling character to the UFC. Now, no one's saying that he has the best character or anything like that, but he's got a character, motherfuckers, and that's what sells. Nobody gives a fuck about two people hugging each other for 45 minutes unless there is a storyline, right? And that's what he provided. And this got me thinking, you know, this and a few emails from some of my wonderful subscribers, you know what I'm saying? If you haven't subscribed, subscribe today, motherfuckers. You know what I mean? And you get a shout out too, because we're bringing back the subscriber shout outs. So, yeah, I figured I would do a nice little rundown of the next UFC card because people ask me to, and because let's face it, I mean, UFC is getting good again, you know, it's becoming entertaining. Like, they've handled this whole COVID thing really well, you know what I mean? Like, they've taken pretty much just a few days off, and they're right back on that motherfuck. So, let's just go through this card real fast. You know, I don't know if people are going to like this video. I know the people that ask for it are going to like it, I'm sure. But I don't know about the rest of you. And don't get me wrong, this does not mean that we're not going to get any more wrestling videos done. As a matter of fact, motherfucks, I've already recorded one that I'm going to upload later today as well. And I'm going to record another one after that. So, you guys have to deal with me for a while, motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? All right, so first up on the card on UFC 253, we have Hakeem Dawodu versus Zubaira Tukhov. Nobody gives a fuck about this. It's a featherweight fight. Nobody gives a shit. It's about two guys who are like 115 pounds. No one cares. This Zubaira Tukhov guy, he's one of those like friends of Khabib. You know what I'm saying? Nobody gives a fuck about them. They're all the same. Like, they all wrestle and they all just do the same shit. You know, they're boring as fuck. Nobody likes them. You know what I'm saying? Next up, we have a women's match. Some broad named Ketlin Vieira versus Sijara Eubanks. No one cares, motherfuckers. No one cares. This Sijara Eubanks girl is 7-4. 7-4, motherfuckers. And she's considered, apparently, one of the best in her job. You know what I'm saying? She's like here on a pay-per-view. Now, that's one thing about UFC that I've never understood. It's like you have all these jabrones, like people that like, she has no business fighting. You know what I'm saying? She's 7-4. You know what I'm saying? I would be 7-4 too if I tried. You know what I'm saying? Well, 7-4 is not impressive. That sounds like prelims to me, bruh. It is what it is. Next up, we have another guy with a shit record called Kai Kara France. This guy's 21-8. He's fighting some guy named Brandon Royval, who's 11-4. I mean, does it really matter which one of these guys wins? Like, is one of these guys ever going to become champion? The answer is probably not, motherfuckers. No one cares. Next up, we have the highly touted Dominic Reyes. You know what I'm saying? This guy was undefeated. John Jones beat him in a controversial close fight. He's supposed to win against this Jan Blachowicz from Poland. You know what I'm saying? No, I got to root for my Europeans up in this bitch. But let's be real. You know what I'm saying? This Dominic Reyes guy is probably going to win. Now, is he worth the hype? You know, because people are saying this guy's so great. And this, again, proves my point. You know, this guy is 12-1. And if he becomes 13-1 this Saturday, he becomes the light heavyweight champion. So in other words, if you participate in your sport 13 times or 14 times, you might become champion. Now, ask yourselves this. In what other sport can you become a champion in 14 matches? Right? You can't even become like in one NBA season, you know, you're going to have to play what is it, like 80 games, whatever the fuck it is now, you know what I'm saying? Like, to even get to the playoffs. But in UFC, it's the only, like, and I don't just mean MMA, I mean UFC. UFC, it's like the only sport, the only league where you can just show up, be like a 5-0 guy, win 3 fights, and then before you know it, you're fighting for the world title. Before you know it, you can be considered the best in the world at your division. You know what I mean? This just goes to show that the UFC is still new. You know what I mean? Because like in boxing, like just think about Mayweather. You know what I'm saying? Mayweather was irrelevant for the first like half of his career. You know, it wasn't until the De La Hoya fight where he beat De La Hoya, who is just pretty much a marketing like machine. De La Hoya was never really that good. I mean, he was good, but he wasn't like Mayweather's level. You know, he beat him and he became a household name. You know, that's what I'm getting at, motherfucks. It took Mayweather like multiple, like a decade basically, grinding it out against nobodies before he even became someone relevant. But in the UFC, you fight 3 times, you're relevant. You know, like if anyone heard about that Khamzat guy from Sweden, you know, he's another Dagestani or a Chechen or something, they're cool. I got nothing against them, but it's like this guy was like 5-0, went to the UFC, he won 3 fights. He was impressive, you know? He knocked some guy out, some guy I never heard of before, right? He knocked this guy out, and all of a sudden people are like, this guy's the next big thing. I'm just like, dude, he's fought 8 times in his life. Like, this guy's been in 8 fights. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not saying he's not like a tough guy or anything, but I'm saying in 8 fights, people are like, this guy should be champion. You know? He sounds like you know, like in wrestling, you got like the Mad Hardys, like that level of wrestler, where like they beat some jabron and they're like, people are like, oh, I like him, he should be champion, you know? That's kind of like one of the problems with the UFC. Then we have the main event, which I'm actually looking forward to. Out of the rest of these 4 fights that I just mentioned, I couldn't give a fuck about any one of them. I don't give a shit. I'm probably not even going to watch those first 4 fights. But the last fight is for the middleweight championship, motherfucks. Israel Adesanya, the last style bender, you know what I mean, versus my new hero, Paulo Costa. Now, the reason I even wanted to talk about this is this, right? There's a lot of parallels between UFC and wrestling, which is kind of what I've been alluding to this entire video, you know what I mean? So, character is important. That's why you have Colby Covington. He's not like exceptionally charismatic or anything like that, but he tries, you know? He tries to put something into his fights. He tries to do trash talking. He tries to create a story behind his fight, right? Now, a lot of people don't like that shit. They're like, oh, it's controversial. But who gives a fuck? I'm here to be entertained. I don't give a fuck about, like for example, Kai Kara France versus Brandon Royval. I don't give a shit who wins. Does anyone care except for those 2 guys? Not one person gives a fuck about that fight. There's no storyline. There's no personality as far as I know, right? You know what I'm saying? So nobody cares. But Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa has elements of a personality, and there is a storyline. Now, the storyline isn't I hate you and you hate me. That's part of it too, motherfucks. The storyline is both of these motherfuckers are undefeated, right? There's a storyline here. You have 2 undefeated guys who are completely different, right? But also similar, motherfucks. So, for example, neither of them apparently have ever tried to do a takedown, right? Which means this is going to be a fucking bloodbath, you know what I mean? You can't miss this one. But on the other side of the coin, Israel Adesanya is like this lanky, tall guy who's supposed to be like technical. Like he's one side of the coin, you know what I mean? He's the side of the coin that says technique beats like dominance, right? Just beats being a beast, right? Paulo Costa, on the other hand, he's a technical guy in some respects as well, but primarily he's like the golden boy, right? He's a good-looking dude, he's strong, and he's got a personality, you know? But the argument is, doesn't matter if he's strong and beastly, Israel Adesanya is technically gifted. So it is the ultimate matchup, right? The winner of this, as far as I'm concerned, sets the pace. What's more important, physical ability or technique? We're going to find out, motherfuckers. We're going to find out this Saturday. In my opinion, it's going to be like it always is. Paulo Costa, motherfuckers. Technique is important, don't get me wrong, but there comes a point where a guy is substantially stronger and bigger than you that you can't do anything about that. You know, as WWE legend, motherfuckers, Big Cass once said, or I guess it was Enzo, another legend, you know what I mean? As he said, Cass is 7 foot tall and you can't teach that, right? Israel Adesanya needs to hit the gym as far as I'm concerned, you know what I mean? So I'm going to be going out for Paulo Costa. You know, shout out to Brazil up in this bitch, you know what I mean? So that's what I got to say about that. He's cooler. Israel Adesanya is like a comic book nerd. Nobody wants to see him win anything, you know what I'm saying? Like, I like him too. I can't say I hate him, you know? He's fun to watch in fights, but like all that goofy shit, he comes out to the ring dancing, like he's like bleached his hair now, like he has like 0 charisma. I don't like him. Paulo Costa all the way, motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, with that marks the first of perhaps many UFC related videos. We'll see how this one goes, motherfuckers. But yeah, stay tuned. A little later today, I'm going to upload a bunch of videos today, I think. I'm going to do something about wrestling. One of them is about retribution. And then the other one I haven't recorded yet, so I don't know what it's going to be about, motherfuckers. But there you go. That's what I got to say about that. So, yeah, stay tuned, motherfuckers. And subscribe today, like, follow me on Tout, whatever the fuck they got nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, join the movement. You know what I'm saying? Join the movement. Be a subscriber. Do yourself a favor. Change your life. All right? All right, motherfuckers.